Hi everyone, I'm Paula Harvey, the Education Coordinator for Tejon Ranch Conservancy. The following 8-minute video is the first of a new series I'm developing called Careers in Science. In this series, we interview professionals who have chosen a career in a science-related field. Please feel free to show these videos to your students so they can see real people who have chosen science careers and learn about their educational and career paths. Dr. Scott Biering is a virologist and postdoctoral scholar at UC Berkeley. He's currently studying the coronavirus. My colleague, Mitchell Coleman, is a botanist and the science manager at Tejon Ranch Conservancy. Mitchell and I interviewed Dr. Biering for Mitchell's students at Bakersfield College. Following the interview is another video. Dr. Biering developed a very informative PowerPoint presentation about the coronavirus and COVID-19. In it, he further describes the work that he's currently doing. The presentation was originally developed for a high school class earlier in 2020 and is very comprehensible for high school and college-age students. I think you'll find it very informative as well. I hope you find the future videos useful in delivering your science curriculum. Thanks for watching. I would like Dr. Biering to talk about career path because a lot of people probably believe that they would never be able to do what he does. And I just, a short biography, if you could, about how you got where you are.
Yeah, I would say that I think to do something like this, you just have to be interested in it. You just have to be generally interested. I had no biology background going into undergrad besides, biology classes in high school. And I think I went into college and I was just extremely interested by viruses and things that cause disease. And the first thing I did when I went to college was I wanted to go into a lab and learn how science was done. I had no idea about anything. I just what I did at first was I did a program called work study at UCLA, where essentially you can get paid to work in different environments. And I found a virology lab and there was a work study position available there. So I went into the lab and I did things like wash dishes and make solutions. And I was just so happy to be around science, and I would ask a ton of questions and, what is that? What are you doing? And, they were kind of like maybe ignorant questions at first, but I knew nothing what anything was. And then eventually, I learned enough in my classes that, I could kind of like talk about like basic biology. And they offered me like an undergraduate research position. I was working under my advisor there. His name was Hector, who just basically liked, I guess, excitement and like, oh, I wanted to teach you something. So I would just like basically like, lap it up, teach me anything you can, any experiment, just like from the ground up, right? And then after that, I worked with Hector for a while, and then he became a full professor at Washington State University. So then I went with him there and helped him start his lab. And I was trying to decide, oh, do I want to go to grad school? Because if you want to go into biomedical research and study things like infectious disease, generally speaking, you need a graduate degree, usually a PhD, which is a research degree, learn how to research. So I went with Hector and I wanted to see, could I do research full time? Because at that point, it was like it was a job in college, and I did other things as well. And then I tried it full time. I couldn't imagine doing anything different. I was just like enthralled with my question. I was basically paid to think about this problem and focus and obsess and just solve it. That's your job. And it's good because academia is a lot of flexibility in this sense. It's your job to creatively think and solve a problem. There's not generally hours. You don't have like a 9-to-5 type of thing. It's generally speaking when you're productive. So some people, they work really, really late at night. Some people work really, really early in the morning. Some people they transition. But going back into it, I went to grad school and studied viruses more and did more and more virology, and still loved it. And if you finish grad school and you're still interested in an academic like virology career, you do what's known as a postdoctoral scholarship position, which is more or less a transition phase to becoming a professor. So a PhD, I think you can think of it as a license to do research. It's essentially proof that you can do the entire research process, and you're advised by academics and professors. And when they approve your thesis, they're saying, okay, this person went through the entire research process. They know how to do appropriate controls. They know how to do research. And then the postdoc is your time to prove that you can do research. And then the transition here is you make a niche in the field. You ask some question that's really important. So one of the things I've been hoping to do with my COVID research is find a niche within emerging diseases with the flaviviruses that I study, like dengue, and then also mix that with a virus like coronavirus, because there are overlaps. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. So some of the key things that I would probably want to talk to a student who's looking at, maybe I want to go into a career in science or something, would be have curiosity, ask a lot of questions, find a mentor, and invest a lot of creative energy into into the career of being a student of science. Would you say that was correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely agree with that.
And the high school that you went to doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to end up going to, that you'll be able to do this or not. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, you can start from anywhere. I went to Fraser Mountain High School in Fraser Park, which I would say doesn't have an amazing track record for college prep. It does all right, but no, you don't have to go to a prep school. You don't have to come from money or be taking 1 million AP classes. You can start anywhere, and just the energy and the desire to do it will drive you.
Yeah, and I've always said as an educator that it's curiosity that actually makes for a successful student.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I would definitely echo everything you just said, Dr. Biering. Thus far in my career, I majored in biology as well, and tried to get a lot of initial research experience as an undergraduate, and I was a pre-med during my first 3 years. I made it through all the prereqs of pre-med before I decided I didn't want to do it. And a lot of folks who are considering a career in science, they tend to look for, and I'm speaking to students, they tend to look for a very linear path. In medicine, for example, is relative to other disciplines, other professions. It's quite linear. You go to undergraduate, you get research experience, try to get clinical experience, then you do well on the MCAT, then you get perfect grades, and it's very prescribed. And then you get into medical school, and you go through your medical school, you do your residency or you do your rotations. It's all, and eventually you get your own practice, whatever the case may be, depending on which residency you get. It's very prescribed. That's just in the case of medicine. If you're entering into the research world, like Dr. Biering said, you pick up a lot of things piecemeal as you go. I can say in the plant world, where I do a lot of my stuff, the things I know, I picked up, some things from this person, some things from that person, some of the things I learned myself, some of it is trial and error. It's not like it's been A, B, C, D. It's been A, X, G, L, Y, T, all over the place. So, yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing your experiences, Dr. Biering.
Absolutely.